And I think we're now live. Well, I'm live. The 17th show of EUS. Jeff's here and Matt's not. Wonder why. Anyway, it is Saturday. It is the 22nd day of October in 2016. And outside right now, outside of me looking at a street light and a car driving past, it is relatively nice. It was in the 60s today. It's been this past week. We didn't do a show. I didn't do a show last week. And there goes a loud car. This past week we had highs in the 80s on Monday, followed by a few nights ago a low at freezing. And that was after a few days before we had highs in the 80s. We had a freeze in the upper 20s. So we've pretty much been everywhere. And and there's a few things that I'm going to bitch about. We'll see if Matt wants to jump in. I'm not going to send him anything until he responds saying he wants in, because I'm not going to mess around with that tonight. But the one night I got scared by deer, and I'm going to make a mention of that right now. For many years, when I would go up to my parents' house, now my mom's house, to mow their lawn, there would always be this deer scat and poop everywhere, because the deer used their backyard as their rest area to go to the bathroom and pretty much to destroy the plants. Well, evidently they found out that I'm related to them and are now using my yard as their rest area. And I live further down into town, because my mom lives on the northern end of town, right next to a bunch of woods. I live nowhere near woods. I live with houses everywhere. And here come the deer, and they seem to think that they can just waltz right into my yard and can do whatever they want. And I was outside the other night, and here comes a deer around the corner scaring me to death. I thought for sure the deer was going to crash into my shed. God's sakes. And this was after I had driven around earlier that same night and saw 3 more deer. So I saw 3 deer crossing a road and 2 deer in my yard. So 5 deer in a span of about 2 hours. So that really, I'm getting really irritated about that, but it is that time of the year when the deer love to run around. They're looking for food and whatnot. And that was the night, a couple of nights ago, when it was near freezing. And so that was the case the other night. And of course, it's not the first time I've seen deer in my neighborhood. I saw a few deer a couple of weeks ago out in the street going away from my yard. But it's just ridiculous that the deer are really bad. But gosh, what else? Oh, and then I was going to complain about something else that's not weather related, but the deer thing was somewhat weather related because it's the time of the year. Mating season for the deer is coming up, so the deer are going to be running around, so they're going to really jump all over the place. But it just seems like of late, the deer, I've seen more deer, I think, in the last couple of weeks than I've ever seen in any period. I have never, now I've probably seen the same deer at least 5 times, but to have this many deer running around is a little bit crazy. I wish I had like a security camera outside in my backyard, because I can just imagine the amount of animals that are running back there. Rabbits, raccoons, possums, deer. I'm waiting for a black bear to show up, because there's been reports that some black bears have been close to the area. Not, I think there's been a report or 2 in the state, but not kind of far away. I'm waiting for a moose. Anyway, so I had that happen, but it was wonderful. The last couple of days, Matthew and I, even though Matt's not here, we did do we did 2 fall foliage tours. One, we kind of did a quick one, sort of, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And then we did another one this past week on, what day was this? Tuesday? Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday. I think so. I don't remember. We went somewhere. Oh, excuse me. Because when we went the first time, which would have been when normal peak color around here usually is, the colors were kind of a bit shabby. And I'll show a picture of that in just a minute, because I'm going to bring that up right now. The fall color this year has been running late. Surprise, because it's been so warm in September especially. But we're either running into the problem of we're having I'm hoping I know where my stuff is. Oh, this could be fun. So just bear with me. I've got to figure out where my stuff is. Come on. Okay, now I got to figure out when this was taken. So sorry, I got to figure out what's going on here. Okay. Okay, so this is what happens when I'm trying to do this, and then I'm running around looking for pictures. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. So now I'm hoping it's showing what I'm hoping it's showing. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that, but okay, this was taken back on the 13th. This would have been a week ago Thursday. And you notice there's virtually no color. There's several trees, as you can see here in this area, that are kind of, there's some trees that don't have leaves on them, and there's some that are green. And this is up at Balltown. You can see this is the Mississippi River right here under there, and that's of course Wisconsin. And this down here is Iowa. And I'll make a mention of this, and I'm wondering down here, because I'm trying to go down here. No, sorry, I'm skipping the picture. Down here, you see this dark area, you see the light area and then the dark area. Let's just say that dark stuff was not smelling too good. So, and that's when we were like, let's go eat at Bright Box, which was right down the road from where it was like we could have walked from here, from where this point was to Bright Box, which we didn't. We drove there a whole about 250 yards. But anyway, but you can see there's no color. And there's lots of the stuff that I've shown over the last couple of times where we've not had where we've already had peak color even around the 10th or 12th of October. I have pictures from previous years earlier in the month of October where it was peak color. But there it was on the 13th of October, and we had no color at all. There was color, but it was very, very patchy. And why is there a car up there? I'm looking out my window that's looking north, and I'm seeing whatever. I'm being preoccupied by their stuff running around. But anyway, so then we went up to, now I'm going to have to bring this back up again, so excuse me for... So here we go. Now I'm gonna do this again. So this is gonna be fun. They changed screen share on this. I might have to bitch about this now. So here we go, right here. Now this was taken back on Tuesday. Yes, this was Tuesday. This is of course 151. Going down into Dubuque. This is actually right before the interchange with Highway 61. So this would be just east of This would be between the intersection of Highway 61 and Military Road, which is the road that would take you to Swiss Valley Park, and it's the old 151. And you can see here, there's more color here. There's some green, some orange, and some yellow. But then you notice right here, and I'm pointing at it with the mouse, there's no leaves on these trees. There's a lot of cases where it was either you had trees that were completely still green, trees that had color, or trees that had no leaves. And that's been the problem this year, where we've had a lot of trees that have lost all their leaves, and then while we still have trees that haven't changed color at all. And even today on Saturday, the 22nd, as we're doing this show, I was in Cedar Rapids today, and there's still trees that are still green. We better hope to gosh, and I've looked at the forecast for the next week, so we're not having anything like this. We better hope to gosh that a lot of these leaves fall before we get a snowstorm, because this is so reminiscent of '97, where we had a similar situation where the leaves didn't fall right away, and then we ended up with the 6-inch snow, and then we ended up with power outages and no school for 2 days because we had a heavy wet snow. The trees still had almost all their leaves on them, or most of them did, and then we end up with power outages everywhere because the trees are all weighted down and then branches are falling everywhere. So that's what we had with this right here. You can see this was Dubuque. As you can see, there's the Dubuque, Wisconsin bridge right here. There's the thing. And my bad, I'm trying to do this while not driving, thank goodness. And I didn't bring up my stuff, so I'm probably going to have to do this during the show. This could be interesting. I don't know how well this is going to work. But you can see this is through the Platte River Valley north of Dickeyville. You can see the trees, another case of trees that have leaves, some trees like this one over here that are still green, and trees that have color. I mean, this is annoying as all heck. And here's some more. This was better color, still in the same area around Dickeyville, Wisconsin. Some more. This would be very close to Platteville, Wisconsin at this point. And then there's this. And this is going to lead me to, and we're going to get off of that picture for a while, but we're going to come back to it in a little bit, because that's going to bring me up to the next topic of discussion. Me ending up going up 266 steps. I was not happy after the fact. And if anybody follows me on Twitter at IowaWX, you would know that I tweeted a picture after I got home, because I don't have a smartphone. I'm frugal, and tell that to anything else that I buy. But you would know that I went up the top of Platte Mound. Now, of course, I could say Platte Mound outside of Platteville, Wisconsin, and nobody would know anything about what that is until I then show what Platte Mound is famous for. And we'll bring this back up. Platte Mound is famous for having what? Having this. The infamous M that everybody can see if you're driving on 151 between Dubuque and Madison, Wisconsin. You typically see this as you're getting close to Platteville. You see a big M on the side of the hill, which is Platte Mound. And let's just say I walked all 266 steps all the way to the top, where you get a view that looks like this. And I'll tell you right now, where we were back on the previous Thursday in Balltown, we could see this. You can see the Platte Mound M for at least 30 to 40 miles in certain situations. We saw, and I've seen this for years, but this was actually the first time that I have driven to the Platte Mound M before. I have never driven to it until this point, this past week. And it's very, very high. The top of the mound is 450 feet above the surrounding area, so you get views that look like this. I mean, it looks like you're seeing little mountains in the distance. Like right here, you can see like there's a mound, which is actually just hills. For example, that this area right about here is probably about where we were around Balltown. It's probably about right up in this area right about here. I mean, because right here, right in front of you is Platteville, Wisconsin, this area right in here. Dubuque would be somewhere over here, over there. Then Dubuque County, Clayton County, and on. You could see probably 30, 40 miles. And it was a fairly good day. You can see a little bit of haze. So there was a bit of haze. So visibility, probably about 30, 40 miles at this point on this day. But to go up on top of that M, to see a view like that, was it worth it? Kind of, I guess, because it is nice. Because you can go on to Google Maps, and somebody went up to the top of the map, and there's a panorama shot from the top of this mound. So, I mean, to see it with your own eyes is better. But it wasn't breezy, but for a person of storm chasing ability, this would be similar to Mount Scott in southern Oklahoma, because I mentioned this to Matt. I've never been to Mount Scott, which is west of Lawton. I've been through the Wichita Mountains before when I drove through there to go to Dallas on 35. Which is actually through the Arbuckles, but which is the eastern end of the Wichitas. But this has just, you can see from the south to the northwest at least 20, 25, 30 miles. Of course, you can't see to the eastward diddly, because technically on top of the mound, there's still a little bit of a rise. And then only on the other side of the mound, there's another mound a couple of miles to the east, which is Belmont Mound, which pretty much covers the area to the east that you can't see from the mound being seen, which you of course can't see the M, from areas like Mineral Point, Dodgeville, and further to the east and northeast. So that's what we did when we went up to the Platte Mound M and whatnot as we did that. But and while I'm doing that, I'm going to do the other thing that I'm going to do. So prepare yourself for fun and excitement, because this could get creepy. So hopefully this is not going to go completely haywire. But we then went down. Whoops. Okay, it's not going to. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. This computer is deciding to be the key. Okay. I don't whatever. I don't care. Just make pictures. I don't care. Okay, then don't make pictures. Okay. Anyway, this computer's being really stupid right now. No. This computer. Okay, so, but after that, we went back down through. Right now, I'm going to be going through trying to get this computer. Okay. So, now that I've gotten that fixed or broken or something, Saw more color. There was some decent color through Illinois. Right along the river near Savannah, there were some. But not much to... And there's cars driving around my house. I don't know why. I don't know. So, but then, yesterday, I'm hoping this is going to work. Huzzah! I have no idea where this is. Oh, now I do. I have no clue. I'm looking at pictures right now that you can't see that I have no idea where I took them. That sounds typical of me. But yesterday I went down to Macomb, Illinois, home of Western Illinois University. And I was like, ooh, let's take pictures. I'll take my camera. Here, oh, excuse me. Here's the interesting thing. Did I take pictures while I was in Macomb? No. I took pictures going to and from there, but not in Macomb. So that was rather silly of me. So anyway, I did do this. How did I hate doing this? Anyway. So then this was crossing the Mississippi River on Interstate 280 in Davenport. Same thing. That's Interstate 280. Okay, this was color. This was on 67, south of Viola, I think. I don't remember at this point because now the funny thing is I took notes when I was with Matt, but when I'm with my mother, as I was in this case, I don't take notes because I'm the one driving, so I don't take notes. So I have to remember, and I don't remember. I remember 67. This is Highway 67. No, wait a minute. No. This is not 67. This is 136 west of Macomb, and that's Tennessee, Illinois. This is Highway. That's 136 east of Carthage. You can see another case where the color is not great. It's similar to what we saw back on the 13th in Northeast Iowa at Bright Box near Balltown. There's like some color like here, but there's a lot of green. And of course, this is down in Hancock County. Yeah, Hancock County, Illinois, west central Illinois. Peak there is not for, oh, excuse me. The peak there is not for another week to 10 days, depending on if we have any wind. And you can see there's some trees, there's even some trees that don't have leaves on them anymore, but there's a lot of the trees that are still green, as was evidenced here. This was coming into, I took a picture of this old school, but unfortunately the windshield was a mess. That's the messy house, the windshield again. That is Hamilton, Illinois, and the Mississippi River is this little part right in there. That's the rail bridge at Keokuk with the Keokuk Dam behind it. That's the color. That's the little bluff area in Keokuk, and you see the color there is not too great. That is the hydroelectric plant in Keokuk. That's downtown Keokuk, so that's not any business of that. But you can see even in Keokuk, the color there was kind of really shoddy there too. So we'll have to see what happens with that and whatnot. But I'm not going to be going back down there this year. I'd love to see the color, which is, excuse me, and I'm so tired. I'd love to go, and I was in the vicinity. I would love to see the color of the, as you're going up, this would be coming northbound on 27 out of Missouri, out of St. Francisville, going north into Iowa. You go into Iowa, and there's this river, the river valley, kind of the river bottom. You cross the Des Moines River, and then it's flat for about 2 miles, and then there's like a ridge off to the northeast. And I remember driving down into Missouri back in 2011 in November, and seeing that the leaves were all gone, of course, because it was November, and I would have always wanted to see what the color looked like on that tree, that ridge on the north end, north of the Des Moines River. And I was in the vicinity. Now, of course, the color, as you saw from those pictures, isn't that great. It's very patchy right now in and around Keokuk. But I'm not going to drive 2.5 hours to go see trees. Except for the fact that there's a Denny's in Wayland. So it's like, there's a Denny's. But, yeah, no. Not going to happen. Anyway, so that's what happened with leaf peeping and whatnot in this past week to 10 days, at least at this point. So as of now, weather-wise, it's been warm, it's been cold. It looks like it's going to stay relatively fine in the 60s. There's going to be a couple of days next week where it's going to be rather rainy and cold, kind of the typical fall, miserable, cloudy, dreary days where it's typically around 50. Just thinking about it's making me tired. I don't know why I'm tired right now, but anyway. Where typically you get fall days where it's like cold, miserable, rainy, yucky. It's around 50. It's just miserable to be outside. Unfortunately, days like that happen once in a while. We haven't had rain in a while. And the thing that kind of irritates me at this point, and it's almost like relative that something's going to irritate me. We have had so many days of dry weather lately that, and I praise the farmers. I was about ready to throw a hissy about so many farmers not going out and harvesting when the fields have been fairly dry of late. Outside of morning, where it's kind of, you got a lot of dew on the ground. But there's, outside of a couple of excuses, there should be very few excuses for anybody to be going out there. And why is my phone going off? So now my phone is going off with texts. They're not from Matt. But anyway, so now I've lost track of having any excuses for harvesting and whatnot. And I've driven around, I would say just given around here, and I'd have to look at what the crop report was from last week, so let me go and do that right now. Why? Because I would say says probably about 60% of the crops are been done. More corn than soybeans, roughly, I'd say. And I'm trying to see if this is actually going to load. It's being really, really... Okay, here it comes. Okay, don't mess with me. Don't, no. Now, the crop report from this, yes, I know, whatever. 'This now this was last week, so of course this is going to be a little bit behind. 33% of the corn has been harvested. This was as of last week, and 62% of soybeans have been harvested. I would say that's probably, as of last week, was right, because we had quite a bit of precipitation early in the week. So, and now my phone is going off, so now I'm going to have to, so bear with me at this point. So I'm going to be doing this at this point. Mother, I'm doing a show right now. Goodbye. Anyway, so I did that. So, So right now I would say probably about 75%, maybe 80% soybeans. And I would say probably about 50 to 55, 60% of the corn. There's a lot of corn. I saw the other day driving around, five semi-loads of corn going into the elevator in Monticello. And they were just going right in. So they still have plenty of days to do it this weekend, Monday, before the weather kind of turns sour later in the week. Especially Tuesday, Wednesday, it's going to be sour. And then after that, unfortunately, then it's going to take at least another day to dry out before they'll be able to start it again, maybe by the following weekend. And then by that point, you're getting close to the end of October, and then you start to worry that the first inch of snow is not that far away, which is typically the first week or two or something of November. So snow is not that far in the offing. I don't see it in the next week or so, but as highs will be mainly outside of the 2 days where it's going to be kind of cold and in the low 50s. It's going to be mainly in the 60s on the dry, sunny days at this point. So outside of that, I see nothing else at this point, hoping that the weather, that more of the farmers get out there and get their crops done and whatnot. So outside of that, since Matt hasn't responded to me to want to get on because I didn't send him an invite, so he's not coming. So I didn't send him an invite. But anyhow, outside of that, there's not much going on. There's absolutely nothing going on in the tropics, because even though we didn't do a show last week, Hurricane Nicole hit Bermuda, but it lasted almost 2 weeks. No, yeah, over 2 weeks before it finally went extratropical a couple of days ago in the North Atlantic. But right now, as of right now, this moment, and I'm doing this on the 22nd of October, there is no tropical anything, which I'm probably lying through my teeth right about now. At this moment, at 7:33 p.m. Central Daylight Time, October 22nd, 2016, there is no tropical entities, I think, in the Northern Hemisphere. But I don't think that's going to last very long, because I believe, and I'm going to make sure of this, because if there's something, it's likely in the Eastern Pacific. And the answer is no. There is an entity in the Eastern Pacific that it's probably going to become a depression or a tropical storm, probably tomorrow, maybe later tonight in the next advisory, or tomorrow. And that's going to move west-northwest at this point. If it becomes a storm, it would be, I would have to look, because I've lost track with what name it would be at this point. So this is what I get for not being somewhat prepared with this. But anyway, and why all of a sudden has my show disappeared? Okay, this is getting really weird. I don't know what the heck just happened, because okay, that's just plain weird. Okie dokie. So I don't know if I'm actually live. It says I am, but my Google Plus account just said that my video just disappeared. So who knows what that means at this point. It's probably telling me I need to stop. But anyway, excuse me. So we'll try and do a show I don't know when we're going to be doing a show because I don't like doing these shows by myself. But if we do another show, we'll try for next week. Otherwise, depending on what's happening now, this might be the last show for a while. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But if it has or whatnot, it's been fun and whatnot. But anyway, hope we'll see you around. And hopefully the weather, unfortunately, the white stuff's coming sooner or later. So have a great rest of this week and weekend. And we'll see you when we see you. Goodbye.